this evening. My name is Laura Doris. I am the Vice President of Member Solutions at Healthy Eyes Advantage, and I'm also a very proud and honored board member of the OWA, and I co-chair the Events Committee, along with the very talented Courtney Myers and Jennifer Chappelle. I'd like to extend a big thank you to the Events Committee and our exceptional OWA Executive Director Carol Wilbur for all the help with putting this event together this evening. We're thrilled to celebrate some very special women tonight and enjoy time with our keynote speaker, Paula Calise. Speaking of special, I'd like to introduce our fabulous and amazing OWA President, Robin Crimmins.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Laura, and the committee and everyone who was involved in putting this event together for us this evening. Welcome to the OWA 2020 Awards Recipient Celebration. My name is Robin Crimmins. I am proud to be the president of the Optical Women's Association. For VSP, I am the division vice president in the West for the VSP Optics Group. First, before we begin, I'd like to just take a moment to acknowledge what an unusual year this has been for everyone. I extend my heartfelt prayers and thoughts to anyone who has been adversely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, by the hurricanes and floods, by the civil unrest we've had in our country recently, and if you're in Northern California like me, the wildfires. Our industry is so amazing the way in difficult times we come together to continue to do whatever we can to deliver care, take care of patients, and at the end of the day, to help people see. I'm proud to be part of this industry, and I'm very proud to be here this evening. Although we had planned to do this event last March in New York, and then again, we planned to do it this month in Las Vegas, here we are today doing it in a whole new way, doing it virtually. But the fact that we're all here and doing this virtually does not take away at all from the celebration and our desire to honor these three amazing women this evening. Tonight, we're happy you're here so that we can celebrate the following award winners. First, our Visionary Award goes to Sheena Taff, Optician About Town. Our Pixis Award winner is Jean Saber of Uptown Vision. And our Pleiades Award winner is Dr. Millicent Knight of Essilor of America. These women exemplify the standards of leadership that OWA exists to promote as we fulfill our mission, which is to advance the leadership roles of women in the optical industry. This year, even COVID-19 didn't keep us from fulfilling our mission. We welcomed 50 new I'm getting a little feedback. We welcomed 50 new members into the OWA, which was amazing at this time. Earlier this year, we reached 1,000 board members. I'm sorry, 1,000 members of the OWA. We had more than 120 women join our virtual coffee breaks, which told us that at this time, it's more important than ever for women to have a place to come and to connect and to network. More and more women are now tuning in to our podcast, OWA Talks. All of our sponsors have stuck by us during this time, including we gained one. So thank you very much to all of our sponsors. And tonight, we've had more than 250 participants register to attend this event, and we are so pleased to see you all, and thank you so much. Taking all that into consideration, I would call this a successful year despite all the challenges we have all faced. We have a really special program for you tonight, and I'll tell you a little bit about what you can expect. First, you're going to hear right from our award winners in a beautifully produced video. Thank you so much to everyone who starred in the video and for those who were instrumental in pulling it together. Audience, I know you'll enjoy it. Second, we'll do a toast, as is our custom, to make sure that we're honoring these award winners in a proper manner. So grab your favorite beverage. I have mine sitting right here. and be ready for the toast. We have a terrific keynote speaker ready for you, Paula Calise, who will share with us the art of hello. But first, before we begin, I have to say a heartfelt thank you to Luxottica for being our sponsor and sponsoring this event for us this evening. I'd like to introduce Fabrizio Uccasoni, Luxottica's President of North America, to say a few words. Fabrizio?
Thank you, Robin. Thank you very much for the introduction, and welcome everyone. And good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are tuning in from. As Robin said, whether we are together in person or virtual, I don't believe it doesn't matter where we are. So the energy of this amazing group overcomes any barrier. Because of that, I want to thank again Robin, all the OWA board members, all the OWA members for organizing this event and for all what you do for our industry. I'm always honored and humbled to be able to say words on OWA events.
Fabrizio, I think you're on mute.
Oh, yeah.
Good, now you're good.
Good, perfect. Now, I was saying that we know 2020 hasn't been the year we were expecting, and we know what all of our were challenged on in the past months, both from a personal and the professional point of view. But in this unprecedented year, we had also the possibility to demonstrate what leadership means with resilience, passion, and vision. We all took care of our people, communities, and customers to restart stronger than before and stronger than ever. Fully share with what Robin said. So we've also seen in the last months how diversity, equity, and inclusion is important to our society, to our companies, and to our industry. And with so many call to actions in the last months, I'm proud of the OWA that has always been at the forefront of promoting and evolving female leadership and inclusivity, and we should all be proud to be part of the driving force that is the Optical Women's Association, who has led our industry in advocating equality for years. I'm here to remind everyone we still have plenty to celebrate, especially when it comes to the role women continue to play in our industry. And I notice it's true because witnessing the movers, shakers, champions within the optical world being more and more women that I've come to know over the years that I'm working in this industry, and some of which we will be honoring tonight. So we are here to celebrate the honorees tonight, which I really want to congratulate for their everyday contribution to elevate our industry, and even more for the role model they represent to all of us. And being a father of two girls to the new generations of women. My congratulations to Jean Sabre, Sheena Taft, along with Dr. Millie Knight, who have had the pleasure of getting to know and witness firsthand what she's capable of. As Robin said, tonight's theme is Elevate, which could not be a more perfect call to action for all of us to elevate our industry by supporting and developing our women leadership at a time where they represent and driving our successes. Witnessing the combined influence and sheer power of our women leadership, given every one of their achievements, is a privilege, and is the reason why Luxottica, Essilor, and myself personally are and will remain committed to supporting the OWA. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, all the OWA board members, all the OWA members with so many new members this year, for what you are doing, for allowing us to be your platinum sponsor. Is an honor, and we're very humble to be your platinum sponsor. And I hope you all can join me in raising a glass to the bright future of all female leaders in our industry. Cheers to each one and every one of you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Robin.
Fabrizio, thank you so much. Thank you to you for your support, and to Luxottica for your support, and for just being such a friend of the Optical Women's Association and what we stand for. We very much value your sponsorship and your friendship. Thank you very much.
Honor and pleasure.
Thank you. So now I have the pleasure of asking you or inviting you to sit back, relax, and enjoy this video that truly honors our 2020 award recipients.
Everyone, my name is Erin Morgan, and I am the editor-in-chief of Eye Care Business Magazine and an editorial director at Pentavision. I am so honored to be here today to introduce the recipient of the OWA's 2020 Visionary Award, Sheena Taff. Sheena is an incredible second-generation licensed optician and optical manager at Robertson Brown Opticians in Vancouver, Canada. She is also a key influencer in our industry and with her Optician About Town Instagram and blog. Sheena is also a transitions change agent and an Eye Care Business 2018 Game Changer awardee and a remarkable Eye Care Business magazine contributor who pens one of our magazine's most highly respected and best read columns called The Optical Checklist. Quite a list of accomplishments, and I can tell you that I have no doubt that she's just getting started. The OWA Visionary Award is just that, celebrating a woman known as a visionary in our industry. This influential leader demonstrates progressive thinking and actively cultivates professional development of women, contributing to the successful future of the entire optical industry. Sheena Taff is most definitely a visionary. Sheena and I met several years ago at Vision Expo, and we have worked together on numerous articles, panel discussions, projects, and events since then. Sheena and I worked hand in hand together back in April during the height of the COVID-19 crisis and closures to put together an incredibly well-attended and informational independent opticians live stream panel discussion with attendees from around the globe. The concept was her brainchild, and the goal was to provide support and tools for independent opticians around the world in a truly critical time. Visionary. Today, I consider Sheena as a true friend and inspiration. She has an incredible passion for excellence and for changing the perception of the optical experience. She is the founder of the iStyle Influencers, an industry group committed to educating peers and the public on the importance of eye health and seeing an eye care professional. I could not be more thrilled to introduce my friend Sheena Taff as the 2020 OWA Visionary Award honoree today. Sheena, congratulations. This honor is so well deserved.
Thank you, Erin. What an incredible honor to be standing here accepting this award. Although the setting might be different, the magnitude of what this award signifies is not diminished. The OWA has always championed inclusivity, which for me is one of the greatest attributes of this industry. As an eye care professional, no matter our role in the industry, we have the unique opportunity to help people see better and, more importantly, see themselves better. When I was a little girl, I was often called bossy, a word heavy with negative implications. It was intended as a way to bring me back down to earth, this notion to anchor me, to follow the status quo. But this was a catalyst that would propel me to become an independent thinker, to change perceptions and raise expectations of what it means to be an optician. Whether it be my focus to lift each patient's confidence in selecting a new pair of glasses, or encouraging friends and strangers on social media to embrace their eye style, no level of support is too small. I am fortunate enough to be standing here accepting this award because of the mentorship and guidance of so many of you out there watching. I would love to thank each of you by name, but I have to keep this short. I appreciate you all, and I would not be here, where I am, who I am, without you. Next to eyewear, the thing that brings me the greatest joy is my fur babies. And for this reason, the charity I selected is Cat Therapy and Rescue Society. Their founder is an ambitious woman who will stop at nothing to rescue and rehabilitate the most vulnerable and forgotten animals. This money will help her continue her crusade to rescue cats and even the occasional dog from kill shelters across borders and across the world. Thank you to the OWA for this honor, this award. I look forward to the day we can all come together and once again be side by side in person. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Lori Lippiett, president of Salem Eye Care Center, where I've been in practice for 31 years, and it's my great honor tonight to introduce Jean Saber as the recipient of the OWA's prestigious Pyxis Award. I first met Jean while serving together on the OWA Board of Directors and quickly became friends with she and her husband, Mark, who is an optometrist. Together, they owned Uptown Vision in Minneapolis for 30 years, where Jean was the clinic manager. Jean's passion in the clinic was ensuring every patient had a great experience and left the clinic with the best customized eyewear solution for them. Jean's eye for fashion and understanding of lens technology complemented this husband and wife team as they built their successful practice. While on the board of the OWA, Jean served in many capacities on membership, the Professional Development Fund, and mentoring. Jean's passion for promoting the leadership role of women in optical was evidenced through her commitment and determination to lead by example and spearheaded many OWA initiatives, including our optometry student mentoring program. Jean's strong belief is that the future lies in the younger generation and encouraged the OWA to initiate programs to provide value to women entering the optical arena. Jean's enthusiasm for mentoring, traveling to meet with optometric students from all over the country has been well received and raised awareness of the many programs and benefits of OWA membership among students in the schools of optometry. Jean has also served for 11 years on the Transitions Pro Forum along with her husband and has blazed the way for women at their golf club in Minneapolis as being the first woman appointed to 2 terms to the board of directors. I got to know Jean on a more personal level when she and Mark purchased property near mine in St. Petersburg, Florida. During our many walks on the beach for miles and miles and miles, I came to know Jean's heart, which is full of compassion for others, and learned that her joy comes from seeing others succeed. When her husband became ill with cancer, Jean became an example of strength and fortitude, maintaining a positive attitude and always looking for the blessings in each moment. As I think of the Pyxis constellation in the southern sky, I congratulate Jean on being a large star in many lives. Jean, you're a loving wife, stellar optician and manager, golfing maniac, and a sister to me. On that beach, she would often laughingly say, like the song, "Lore, someday we're going to be walking, golfing, and loving every day." Well, that dream is finally coming true. Congratulations on this honor, Jean, my friend. Well deserved.
Thank you so much, Lori, for that kind introduction and for our special friendship over the past 20 years. I'd like to start by thanking the board of directors and all the members of the Optical Women's Association for this very special award. I'm truly humbled and honored to receive the 2020 OWA Pyxis Award from such a talented group of women. For those who may not know me, my husband, Dr. Mark Saber, and I co-founded the Uptown Vision Clinic in Minneapolis 30 years ago. If anyone would have told me back then that I would make a career in the optical industry, I wouldn't have believed them. But what a great decision it was to change my career path. With my background in retail sales, we started an optometric practice with a focus on an overall patient experience, starting with the most comprehensive eye exam and concluding with an optical experience second to none. And along the way, at each touch point, we endeavored to provide our patients with the most compassionate eye care. We traveled to international eyewear shows such as Solno and Mito, as well as both Vision Expos, in an effort to assemble a unique selection of eyeglass frames for our patients. It was at Vision Expo West in 2004 that I was introduced to the OWA by Lorinda Fraboni. I decided to join. I discovered that the OWA provided a terrific opportunity to meet and network with some of the top women leaders in our industry and our profession, ask them questions, and get wonderful advice. I then was proudly asked to serve on the board of directors and to co-chair both the membership and mentorship committees. It was an honor to meet and to serve with such a great group of women, most of which are now dear friends. During my time on the board, we were able to focus on growing the membership and develop mentoring opportunities for our membership as well. Most recently, we put together an OWA student ambassador program, both in opticianry and optometry, and considering our current COVID challenges, it couldn't have been more timely. I would really like to express my gratitude to the OWA's donation on behalf of my family to the Sarcoma Foundation of America. My husband, Mark, is an 11-year cancer survivor. It's a very rare cancer, and we thank you for your generosity. In closing, I'd like to mention that the brightest star in the Pyxis constellation is the Alpha Star, which is 22,000 times more luminous than the sun. And at this time in our history, I encourage all women of the OWA to continue to shine as brightly as the Alpha Star of Pyxis. I am blessed to receive this award, blessed by my industry friends, blessed with a wonderful family, and I thank you for this award.
Hello everyone, I'm Howard Purcell, President and CEO of the New England College of Optometry, and I'm truly honored today to introduce this year's Pleiades Award winner. As you know, this is an annual award given by the Optical Women's Association, whose purpose is to advance the leadership role of women in the optical industry. This year's recipient is my good friend and colleague, Dr. Millicent Knight. Not only is Dr. Knight an incredible mother to Matthew and wife to Harvey, Dr. Harvey Eccles, as many of you know, but she's made an indelible mark in our profession. It probably would have been enough for one individual to build two incredible practices in Illinois, practices that were admired by people around the country, and in particular, admired by the patients that they served. But no, that wasn't enough for Millicent Knight. She wanted to give more, and she had more to give. And fortunately for us, she gave her time to the industry to represent us, both at Johnson & Johnson and today at Essilor. And let me tell you from firsthand experience, that isn't always the easiest job. It can be a thankless job sometimes, and in fact, requires that you oftentimes have to wear two hats and balance that as best you can. The one hat of an optometrist and wanting to do everything you can to support your profession. And on the other side, the hat of industry and making sure that you support the industry and the players that you've aligned with. Those aren't always aligned well, and it requires a unique individual to truly balance that. And Millicent, you have done that, and you have done that with grace, with determination, with poise, with clarity, while bringing the knowledge to the table that puts it all together. We really appreciate the incredible efforts you've made on all of our behalf. But let me share with you a little secret. Our careers? Not just really a coincidence, and we both kind of have followed a similar path. In fact, what really happens is she sends me out there first to see if the coast is clear. Then she drops in and takes everything to the next level. Millie, you've done an incredible job in so many aspects. The true impact that you've made on this profession is yet to really be known. But I am proud of the contributions that we've made together and the contributions that you have made yourself. You're not afraid to take the risks. You're not afraid of change. In fact, you're just not afraid. Congratulations, Millie, from all of your many friends and colleagues. We are so proud of you and the impact you've had on so many of us. I know that's important to you, and I know giving back is important to you. I'm honored to be considered among your friends. Congratulations, Millie.
Thank you for that thoughtful introduction. And allow me to publicly thank you for believing that I could step into your footsteps and continue to make an impact. I am so honored to receive this acknowledgement, and there are so many people who made today possible, and that begins with the OWA. I am blessed to have so many people who continue to support and believe in me. Thank you all, but I have to acknowledge a few. First is my husband, Dr. Harvey Eccles, whose many sacrifices have allowed me to contribute to a profession and industry that I love. And Dr. Ron Krefman, my optometrist at ICO, where I received my eye care as a child and during high school. Although I had never seen a Black or female optometrist, when I told him I was interested in optometry, he not only didn't flinch, but instead took me to the admissions office for more information. You may never understand what your encouragement meant. And Dr. Greg Ossip, for believing in my vision of integrative eye health and wellness and purchasing my practice so I could pursue it. Life took me on a slightly different journey, but it could not have happened without you. But it all began with my greatest mentor, my mother, Dr. Ollie Knight, who never let us say can't and always said Amy Lowe was a crime. Thank you for being the best role model and always supporting me. Matthew, my most important job in this life is to provide an opportunity for you to contribute your best to the world. And Daddy and I will do our best to provide that opportunity because that's what our parents did for us. I have my current role because of the faith one individual in particular placed in me, Rick Gadd, the president of Essilor North America. Thank you for allowing me to bring to life my belief that industry and the profession should work together as best we can in the best interest of the patient. When I became aware of this award, my mind went to a painful time in my history. As I started to put together remarks, I could not shake this memory. Because it is an appropriate reflection for today, I want to share it with you with an evolved perspective. My father told me that at age 8, when he was picking me up from vision therapy, that I told him I was going to be an eye doctor. I stayed focused on that as a career goal well into college. When I went to the optometry advisor for a recommendation to optometry school, he said, "No, I don't think you can be an optometrist. I won't give you a recommendation, and no student here has ever gotten into optometry school without it." At age 20, I was shocked, and it must have shown. When immediately afterwards I bumped into the only female professor in the biology department, and she told me to come into her office. I told her what happened, and she said, "From now on, you are a med tech major." I said, "I don't want to be a med tech." She said, "I know that, and you know that, but I am the med tech advisor, and I know what you need to take to get into optometry school." I went on to apply to 3 schools, and I was accepted into all 3. Unfortunately, to complete my biology undergraduate major, there was one more class I had to take, and it was with the optometry school advisor. It started well. I had an A going into the final exam, but on the day of the finals, he said to me in front of the entire class, "Your lab specimen work looks very similar to someone else's in the class. I don't believe you can do A work, so I am changing all of your work from the midterm on to an F." I immediately went to the dean and told him what happened, and that of course, the work I turned in was my own. He said, "I believe you, but today, you have to make a very important decision. Do you want to prove him wrong, or do you want to go to optometry school?" And I said, "I want both." He said, "You can't have both. If you want to prove him wrong, I support you. and I will be with you every step of the way. But you have already been accepted into optometry school, and if you let this go, you will graduate and I believe be a great doctor. In the interest of time, I left some details out, but this was both an issue of racism and sexism. But don't get stuck there. I didn't. What I came to see is the courage of a dean who was willing to take on a department chair, an academic peer, for a 20-year-old girl. A dean who was willing to stand up for what was right, but who also had the courage to tell me the truth about life, and in doing so, empowered me to make the right decision. I chose not to go after the professor. Sometimes you have to make tough choices. That is why I believe so strongly that integrity matters, right matters, but you can't lose focus of your dream. I made that choice that day to stay focused on being an optometrist. Had I made a different choice, I may not be speaking to you today. This room is full of leaders. A bigger question in my mind is, how do we as leaders work together to prevent these types of occurrences? How do we muster the courage to remove barriers in a visionary industry? I knew then that I wanted to help people see, as someone helped me. And in addition to over 150,000 patient encounters through my practices, I have had the honor of traveling the world, providing eye care to those without access. I know firsthand how precious vision is. And now my journey into the industry has provided the opportunity to work for two mission cradle-oriented companies, Johnson & Johnson Vision and Essilor. I was proud to begin working for Essilor and its mission of improving lives by improving sight. And now Essilor Luxottica, working to eradicate poor vision around the world. The Essilor Vision Foundation is my charity of choice. I hope to continue contributing in whatever ways I can to an industry and a profession that has given me so much. Thank you again, OWA, for this wonderful acknowledgement.
Thank you so much, Erin, Howard, and Lori, for such wonderful tributes and fitting tributes for our award winners this evening. And Jean, Millicent, and Sheena, thank you so much for sharing your stories and your inspirational words. I'd like now to invite my fellow board members, our award winners, and Fabrizio to turn on their cameras. And for everyone else out there, please, if you will join me in grabbing a glass of champagne or whatever is your beverage of choice, and join me in congratulating these amazing women for this year, for being this year's 2020 OWA honorees. Jean, Millie, and Sheena, may your stars always shine bright. Cheers.
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 Yay.
Everybody's clapping. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you to good to see all my fellow board members, and good to see you all. Thank you. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Paula Calise, and the Art of Hello. A couple of things about Paula that she'd like you to know. First of all, if you would please, if you have questions, she will be taking questions. If there's time at the end, please use the Q&A feature in Zoom to answer your to ask your questions, and we'll try to get to them all. The second thing is, Paula, thank you so much for your generosity. Paula has offered to raffle off one free personal coaching session with her. What an amazing and generous gift. So after this, we'll be taking all the participants and we'll be drawing a lucky winner, and we will let you know who that is sometime next week. Without further ado, Paula, welcome. Please take it away.
I think someone has to allow me to share my screen. Laura, can you help me?
Yes.
Okay, now I'm the host. It was a really very hot day here in Dallas, and I was running between appointments. And I ran into the cafe here, La Madeleine, and I was meeting a woman named Karen, who I had never met before. I found Karen, I sat down, and I said to her, Karen, please forgive me, but I am not very prepared for our meeting today. I said, I have printed your resume, but I left it back on my desk. And I haven't really had a chance to look at your LinkedIn profile. So I said, Karen, help me out. Tell me about yourself. The dreaded tell me about yourself question. And Karen said, I am the Vice President of Marketing for Mary Kay Cosmetics. And she said, I've been with Mary Kay in marketing for 18 years. And in those 18 years, I have done everything in marketing. I've done promotions and I've done collateral. I've done public relations and worked with our senior executives on crisis communications. She said, you know, Mary Kay, I've done events. And then she said, I've also supervised online and offline work, including the important platforms like Pinterest and Facebook. And she said, I've supervised qualitative and quantitative research. I've worked with our packaging engineers on packaging. And Karen is going on and on and on. And in my brain, I am hearing, so what? So what? So what? Because I asked all of you executives who rises to a position of vice president of marketing in any big global brand name company like Mary Kay, who hasn't done promotions and collateral, who hasn't done public relations and work with packaging. That day, Karen was telling me, I'm ordinary. Don't think she meant to be saying that, but that's really what she was saying. Let me stop here for a moment and introduce myself. My name is Paula Calise. I'm an executive recruiter by day, and I feel hard to fill positions. If you remember nothing else about me, please remember, Paula Calise, hard to fill positions. I have come to speak on the art of hello very honestly. My profession, plus the board work I do and the committee work I do, causes me to meet hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, perhaps thousands in the course of a year. And I've noticed that I remember very few of these people. Part of it is, you know, my advancing age, but when I really looked at it, so much of it is the fact that people introduce themselves poorly, and they simply don't say things memorable enough for me to remember them. So I started investigating it. I found the old-fashioned elevator speech invented in the 1970s that no longer is practical in our very fast-paced, very intense data world. And I found nothing much else. So I have created something called the Art of Hello. I'll introduce it to you tonight. Not only will I introduce it to you, but at the end of our session, I'll give you 3 important and easy steps. If you like what you've heard, you can have an Art of Hello introduction of your own. Let's go back to Karen. So here's Karen going on, and I got my so what monitor going, yeah. And I finally stopped her. I said, so Karen, let's move the conversation in a little different direction. I said, you know, I live here in Dallas where Mary Kay is headquartered. I said, it looks a little different to me these days as a corporation than it has. And Karen says, well, Paula, thank you for noticing that. She says, that's our modern branding. I said, okay, well, that's an interesting topic. Tell me about that. She said, about 20 months ago, the senior leadership team on which I sit, we went away for a woods weekend and we imagineered our company 10 years into the future. At the ends of the woods weekend, we all came away with work to do to help the company become that company that we aspired to be. And she said, my work was the issues around branding. I said, fine. I said, so how did it go? How did that branding work go? And she said, thank you for asking, Paula. Now she's a smart vice president of marketing. She knew all her KPIs. And she said, Paula, we did pre and post branding studies, and we wanted to move the needle and create a brand that looked more like this and less like this, and we did. I said, wow, that's good. I said, of the work that got done on that project, Karen, how much of it started on your desk with ideation? How much of it you did yourself? And how much of it did you approve? And she said 100%. She said, we didn't hire a marketing company. We didn't hire a branding company. She said, myself and my colleagues, we did some best practices work. We did some case studies work and did it ourselves. I touched everything. Now Karen was saying something interesting to me. So I said to her, Karen, if I heard you correctly, you revitalized tired brands. And Karen had a light bulb moment. Yes, Paula, she said, I revitalize tired brands. So I ask you in the audience here all over the country, how does that sound? Hi, I'm Karen. I'm a vice president of marketing. I do this, 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 I do this. Or, hi, my name is Karen. I'm a vice president of marketing. I revitalize tired brands. Boom. That is the art of hello. Karen said something to me that I had never heard anyone say before and since, that I'm a marketing executive and I revitalize tired brands. So that is the quintessential example of one kind of art of hello archetype. Along the bottom of your screen, that bright bar, the archetype is the biggest, baddest thing I've ever done. And in Karen's career, the biggest, baddest thing she had ever done was to revitalize that old-fashioned, kind of old lady, white hair kind of look, tired brand. Good for her. So now I'm going to introduce you to 6 additional friends of mine and give you a flavor of what it means to have an art of hello introduction of your own. Today, we're going to not only teach you a little things, but train your ear to listen for an art of hello style introduction. The next friend I want to introduce you to, her name is Shauna Black. Anybody who lives, Millicent, I bet you do, you live in Dallas, right? Essilor of America, may know Shauna Black. She is an emeritus member of our business community and a very vital volunteer in our community here. I met Shauna for the first time about 10 years ago at a lunch, and we met each other. She introduced herself, I introduced myself, and I have not really seen much of her. I know she's around in our ecosystem, but I haven't seen her. Well, last summer, I was at an event, and she was at the lectern introducing the speaker, not herself, but the speaker. And I said, oh, I know her, that's Shauna Black. I'm gonna go and find her after the meeting. So I went up to her after the meeting, stuck out my hand, introduced myself again and said, Shauna, you may remember me. We met about 10 years ago. My name is Paula Calise, and I'm an executive recruiter. I feel hard to fill positions. And I said, don't tell me, Shauna. I said, Shauna, you are a consultant and you help manufacturing plants become LEED certified. And Shauna was kind of set back on her heels. She goes, Paula, you're right. I don't think we've seen each other in 10 years. How do you remember what I do? And I said, Shauna, no matter how many people I've spoken to in the last 10 years, no one has ever said to me, I help manufacturing plants become LEED certified. All of you know LEED is green, environmental. And she said, well, thank you for remembering that. What Shauna did not say to me 10 years ago, because I would have forgotten it immediately, is my name is Shauna Black. I've just recently retired from a 22-year career at Texas Instruments. I'm a master's degree electrical engineer. I've had many assignments over those years, and so on and so on and so forth. Forget it. Too much information. But she sent me home that day 10 years ago with something that put an indelible mark on my memory and said, I help manufacturing plants become LEED certified. The archetype here at the bottom was, at the time that Shauna was saying this about herself, it was her newest accomplishment, because she had just come off a 3-year stint with Texas Instrument, where they sent her around the world updating and bringing their plants up to LEED certification. So far today, you've met 3 people who have Art of Hello introductions, and let's continue to train our ears. It's Karen, I revitalize tired brands. It's Paula, I fill hard to fill positions. And it's Shauna Black, I help manufacturing plants become LEED certified. So what is the Art of Hello? Here it is. It is the distillation of your professional life. And I don't know if our little thumbnail pictures are over the words on the right-hand side of the screen. I'm afraid they may be. Let me read them to you. So the Art of Hello is the distillation of your professional life. It's how you want to be known now. It is meaningful, it's authentic, it's unambiguous, it doesn't leave you wondering what that meant. It differentiates you from other people who have similar professions, and it's able to be remembered. It is memorable. That is what an Art of Hello introduction is. It is a valuable, valuable professional tool for each of us to be known for our professional attributes that we want to be branded as. So at the bottom, it says, done right, your Art of Hello introduction is your brand promise. Let's review again. Here's Karen, I revitalize tired brands. That's her brand promise to employers. Paula, I fill hard to fill positions. That's my brand promise to clients and potential clients. And there's Shauna in a consulting practice saying, I help manufacturing plants become LEED certified. So done right, your Art of Hello not only introduces you, not only differentiates you from people who have similar professions, but it also allows you to be remembered, and it states your brand promise. That's a lot to get from a very few words, and it's very doable. I am 100% positive that any of you who come away with spending this next hour with us who want to have an Art of Hello introduction of your own can do it. I've seen it done, I've done it with, and I've heard about thousands of people who have done this. Let me ask if there might be, Laura, a question at this point, because there's a common question I get right now in these presentations. Laura, do you have any questions for me?
We do not have any questions yet, but I encourage our audience to go ahead and think of some questions and use the Q&A, and we'll look for those at the next break.
So I'm going to ask one for you, because this one I hear a lot. Hey, Paula, I'm not comfortable with this. I am more than a one-liner. And I agree, you are. You've invested a year in your career or a lifetime in your career. Definitely more than a one-liner. And here's what I say about the Art of Hello. It is a jumping off point for your brand. It is just the beginning of getting to know you and remembering who you are in the right context, the way you want to be known. Now, there's something I call pillars. Pillars support and fill out your story. They help people know you more broadly, and they're used independently of, these next sentences are used independently of one another so that you're using them in the right context. Now, if we were all together in one room, we'd have a great discussion around this, but since we're not, let me use myself as an example. So, I help people fill hard to fill positions. I have one pillar. If it was Laura and I was being asked to help her fill a hard to fill position, I would say, Laura, I'm going to help you fill this job the way you would yourself if you had the time. That is one of my pillars that I speak about when I'm talking to a hiring manager. If I am speaking to Jeffrey, and Jeffrey is the recruiting executive or the HR executive in that same company, I'd say, Jeffrey, thank you for allowing me to work with Laura to fill that job. She's going to get a Korn Ferry outcome but Jeffrey, I'm going to impact your budget by half. So when I speak to the hiring manager, the pillar that I pull out is I save you time. When I'm speaking to recruiting or HR, the pillar I pull out is I save you money. And that's what the concept of pillars are. I encourage people to write 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 pillars, to memorize them as cleanly as you would memorize your Art of Hello introduction, and use them appropriately in a conversation as you then can fill out your brand. Done right, your introduction is your brand promise, your pillars done right, fill out the more professional you. Okay, I'm going to tell you about another friend of mine. Her name is Jennifer, a younger woman. I met her at the Southern Methodist University SMU EMBA program where I was a mentor. It was a cocktail type reception. Jennifer was wearing a badge, it had her name on it. I went up to her, I introduced myself, and I said to her, Jennifer, when you're not studying, what do you do professionally? Because I know all EMBAs are working. And this is what I heard from Jennifer. Literally, she looked down at her shoes and she said, I have a boring job. I'm a water engineer. I don't think you start with, I have a boring job, ever, right? And then I thought, oh, I'm thinking real fast, what's a water engineer? I've got to tell you, I filled personally about 600 jobs in my profession here at my company, and I've never encountered a water engineer. I'm thinking, maybe they design the flushing systems of tall buildings. I mean, it's possible, I don't know. And so I said to her, Jennifer, you know, I'm sorry, I don't really know anything about water engineers. What do you do? And if you know the North Texas landscape, she said this. She said, well, I work with the cities of Addison and DeSoto, and I work with Plano and McKinney. And she says, I work with the HEB towns. And she says, I work with Midlothian, and I work with Richardson. And she's going on and telling me about every one of the surrounding towns and cities around the Dallas core. And I said, whoa, that's interesting. But I still don't understand, Jennifer, what do you do? And she says, well, I work with their data. She says, I work with their population growth and trends. She says, I work with their climate and their microclimates. She says, I work with issues around their wetlands and water runoff. And she's like talking to me like sections of a census study, right? So now I know she works with all these towns. Now I know she works with all this data, but I still don't know what she does. And so I said, you know, I don't mean to be rude and ask you for the 3rd or 4th time here, Jennifer, but I don't get it. What do you do? And Jennifer looks down at her feet, and she looks at me and she says, well, I write their water plans so they can continue to grow for 30 years and not run out of water. I love this gal. She's keeping me and my family in showers and iced tea. And I said to her, Jennifer, if I've heard you correctly, you're an economic development professional who keeps North Texans in water for decades to come. And young Jennifer says, can I say that? And I said, yes, Jennifer, indeed, you deserve to say that. In this case, the archetype is Jennifer's work in a bigger context. See, Jennifer was describing herself as a water engineer, which was the name on the degree that was conferred to her 5 years earlier by the University of Denver. But it didn't represent her current profession or the impact of her profession as she is currently practicing it. She truly is an economic development professional, keeping North Texans in water so that we can continue to grow and have our economies thrive. Thank you very much, young Jennifer. Let me tell you what the Art of Hello is not. It is not an advertisement for your employer, because already you've met Karen, you've met Paula, you've met Shauna, you've met Jennifer, and in every one of those cases, none of us have talked about our companies. Done wrong, this is what an advertisement for your employer sounds like, and what you should never do when introducing yourself. Hi, my name is Gary. I work for AT&T, AT&T practices in 224 countries with 450,000 employees with the best 5G technology, blah, 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 blah. Gary, stop, Gary. I know all about AT&T. I pay my company's bills and we spend a lot of money with AT&T. I understand that. I still don't know you. So it is not an advertisement for your employer. That doesn't mean you never use your employer's name. You may use it if it's appropriate in one of those pillars that I told you before that support the brand promise that you give when you give your Art of Hello introduction. It is not bragging, and there's two fundamental reasons why the Art of Hello introduction is not bragging. The first one is pretty obvious. If you're telling the truth, you're probably staying away from bragging. But the other reason is it's not all about you, it's all about what you do for other people. Remember, Karen revitalizes tired brands. It's not her brand, it's the brand for her company, and so on and so forth. I'll tell you what bragging sounds like. This is what bragging sounds like. Hey, my name is Paula Calise, and I am a hot shot recruiter. And if you don't believe me, you can go online and look me up right now, because my company, Linked, is named in the top 10 of the best recruiting companies in the nation by Forbes, March of this year. And if you don't believe me, if you're ever in Dallas, come on over to my house and I'll show you my new Maserati. That's crazy, right? But that's what bragging sounds like. When it's all about me. Oh, by the way, I have to give my team a real little hand of applause. We are in the top 10 recruiting firms in the nation, according to Forbes this year. Yay.
Yeah, she's in my book.
I just heard Millicent's family there. But anyways, so it's not bragging. It's not everything you've ever accomplished in your career. It is the essence of how you want to be known now, and that's the Art of Hello. It is not just a one-liner. I showed you those quotes where they fill out your brand. It's not lifelong and permanent. Lifelong and permanent. Is somebody hearing some chatter? I am. Okay.
It's okay. I'll just.
Can I ask people to mute their computers, please? Host can do that. Okay, I'm going to go on and ask. It's not long and permanent. It's how you want to be known now. And in my opinion, it is something that your career cannot afford to be without. Listen, you've put in long hours, you've educated yourself, you've been away from your family, you've never wanted to be away from your family, you've invested a lot in your career. Why not be known for your brand, for your expertise, and be remembered for it?
Paula?
Yes.
If I can interrupt you, if you could hand me the host control, I'll go ahead and oh, there we go. I think we're good.
Yes, I just saw that change.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Hey, thank you for that very much, Laura. Along the bottom, this is not the old-fashioned elevator speech. You know what? Just for grins, I want to read you a very well-developed elevator speech. This is what it sounds like, and it is 30 seconds long. Sometimes it's called the 30-second drill. I'm a senior manager in commercial insurance with a focus on multi-state workers' compensation plans and programs. I drive profitability and compliance via accountability, responsibility, and flexibility. I thrive in creating environments that are diverse, inclusive, and I'm an inclusive leader who builds teams and creates cultures of success where individuals are developed, providing exceptional customer experience. I meet and exceed company goals. I accomplish my company's goals, my personal development, and I meet or exceed company's expectations. That is actually a well-written, old-fashioned elevator speech, but it's terrible. Do you even know what this person does? So I got a chance to coach this person who was a magnificent executive, and this is what I ended up with. Through workers' compensation, I want to go back. Oops, I'm going forward, excuse me. Let's go back, and oh, I'm just ruining this, aren't I? There. What we ended up with is, through workers' compensation insurance, I return injured workers to work faster. So it went from 88 words and 30 seconds to 10 words. That is the magic of the art of hello. All right. I've gotten through all that craziness with the slides. Let me get back on track. I'll introduce you to another friend of mine. His name is John. I met John at a meeting and I introduced myself and he introduced himself this way. My name is John. I'm a corporate real estate guy. Okay, well, I kind of figured out the guy thing when I approached him. That wasn't any new news. All I knew was the words corporate real estate, nothing else. And I don't know what made me say this, but I said to him, John, help me out a little bit. Tell me a point of pride in corporate real estate. What have you done that you are proud of? And he said, well, I've been doing this a long time, Paula. Okay, he said, I'll tell you one. He said, when I worked for the Nike company, I found myself in Times Square. And he said, this was the late 1990s. It's not the Times Square that you know today. It was pretty seedy and run down then. And he said, I noticed that many of the buildings around me were either empty or partially empty. And it just occurred to me at that moment that a company like ours, Nike, we could fill a lot of that space. And he imagined this. He said, we could sell merchandise over here and do a juice bar over here. We could sell merchandise over here and play handball over here. We could sell merchandise over here and play a little basketball over here. What John was describing is now known in 2020 as experiential retail. But in the 1990s, that term wasn't even coined. He was a real outpost thinker. He was thinking ahead of his industry. So he goes back to the Nike Corporation and he pulls together a business case with the help of marketing and finance. And he says, I want to do these mega stores where we could play ball and have coffee and buy merchandise. And they said, no, no, no. It doesn't work. It's very expensive. We'll be, moving around our regular, retail channels. We don't want to do that. And he persisted. In 3 years, he finally got a yes. And his company said, fine, go and build one of these mega stores. They're going to be called Nike Town, and do it where if it's not well received, maybe we won't be the laughing stock of the retail world. So I can't remember what John told me that day. They chose Asia. So maybe it was Singapore, maybe it was Hong Kong, something like that. And they opened this mega store. And what do you think happened? Said there was a line around the block. And what was more important was the international trade press and the international business press picked it up, and it was a sensation. During John's tenure at Nike, they opened 6 of these mega stores called Nike Towns. Oh, what a great story. But before I could move on the conversation with him, he said, Paula, there's probably one more thing I should tell you about. I said, fine. He said, well, when I worked at Starbucks, of course, my job was for site selection. Yeah. He says, I was in the car one day, it was late in the afternoon, and I just really needed a cup of coffee to get me through the rest of the day and out to the airport. He says, I pulled off the highway and I was looking for a cup of coffee. The only place I could find was McDonald's. I drove through McDonald's. They sold me a cup of coffee. I had a swig of it, and he goes, oh my gosh, I think this was probably brewed this morning. Now, I will tell you, I don't want to disparage McDonald's. Now they have Mac Cafe, which is wonderful coffee, but this is then and not now. So he gets in the car, he's drinking this bad coffee, and it occurs to John, man, we at Starbucks, we could do better than this. We could. So he, once again, pulls together resources, creates a business case, brings it to his management and says, I want to create Starbucks drive-thrus. And his management say, no, we need our Starbucks customers to come in and talk to the barista. We need our Starbucks customers to come in and notice there's a live edge on our counters. We need it to be a total experience, that our couches and chairs are real leather, that we can hear the beans being ground and smell the coffee when it's being handed to us. John persisted, and after a while, he softened, and his leadership said, fine, John, go ahead, you have 6 stores. Go get 6 stores ready with your drive-thrus. Let's see what happens. And I can't remember, he told me all the names of the cities, but I think I remember that one of them was Duluth. I think it's pretty fair that if anything happened in Duluth, it might not be that memorable. It's probably a good pick. Well, what had happened? They opened the drive-thrus in those 6 cities, and what to his wondering eyes should appear, but a few months into it, they measured the same day retail sales. Now, any of you who are in the retail end of your businesses know that that's one of the big measures of retail successes. How did we perform against the same selling day the previous year? And in this case, all 6 stores were up over 10%. Wow. In the retail world, 10% falls to the bottom line. That's amazing success. So here's John, who's telling me I'm a corporate real estate guy. And I see it very differently after these 2 stories. And I say to him, John, are you really a commercial real estate executive and you're a $1 billion brand builder on the back of old-fashioned brick and mortar retail? Now, I hope John is using this today. I don't know if he is, but let's look at that Art of Hello statement. $1 billion brand builder on the back of old-fashioned brick and mortar retail. First of all, there's good alliteration with all the B's. And there's also, listen, I'm not disparaging Nike or Starbucks. These are some of the best brands ever. But there is a point counterpoint in modern thinking about retail. You know, it's the Amazon world versus the brick and mortar world that is kind of struggling, especially during this pandemic. So this is a great Art of Hello introduction. I've never forgotten it, and I hope John is using it. The archetype along the bottom is the results of what I do. The results of what John does in commercial real estate, he builds brands and builds volume. Good job, John. Good job, John. I'm going to suggest that at the end of our short time together today, that you spend 30 minutes on this, maybe an hour. And if you do, and you're able to craft an Art of Hello introduction of your own, let me tell you what a durable asset it will be for you. First of all, you'll use it anytime when we get back together face to face. But in the meantime, when we're meeting friends on Zoom and WebEx platforms, use it there. Also, the top of your professional bio, online, offline, in collateral. Also, your LinkedIn profile. Also, your resume, if and when you need one. Also, the back or the front of your business card. Also, your signature block. Also, any other social media bios, your Twitter account, and so forth. So your Art of Hello introduction will become a very, very useful, high volume asset for your career. And you might spend 30 minutes doing it. You might spend an hour doing it, but wow, how many uses will you have for it? Lots. Let me stop and ask Laura if maybe a question came in.
So we've got 2 great questions, Paula. The first one is, what if you have 2 very different backgrounds?
Oh, and I have an answer for you.
Okay, well, this person asked, what if it's marketing and sales? Does your archetype consist of both or just the latest position? That's the first question.
Okay. I have an answer for that. Oh, you let me answer. First of all, here's the answer to that person. It's how you want to be known. And sales and marketing are closely related. You don't have to cite the word sales or the word marketing. You might say, you know, I help improve the world through better vision for such and such, or something like that. You don't have to name the word sales and marketing, but once again, you name the impact that you have on the world. Remember young Jennifer, what is your work in a bigger context? Maybe that's how you want to see it. What is the work that I do in sales and marketing? What's the bigger context of that? So it's how you want to be known, and you don't have to cite the name of your profession. What's your second question?
Perfect. That's great. Thank you. So next question is, how do you transition from your brand and pillars to the next steps of landing a meeting or advancing the conversation?
I hope I have this on a slide. Let me give you an example. I met a woman at a conference, and I think her name was Susan, and Susan went on and on and on talking to me about selling leadership training through the professors of her university, and how her job was to get first appointments. And she's going on, and my ears are bleeding. I don't even know what she was talking about. If she was approaching me, I wouldn't give her an appointment either. Then it occurred to me, what is she really saying to me? And I stopped her and I said, Susan, are you telling me that you make companies Harvard smart? And she said, yes. What she was is she was selling the professor's consulting time at Harvard University to companies for leadership development and for strategy. But she had that in so many words that I wouldn't give her an appointment either. I didn't know what she was saying. But when we netted it out and we gave her something armed with bear, hi, my name is Susan. I make companies Harvard smart. May I have a few minutes of your time to make Essilor Harvard smart? I mean, I don't know if you're going to turn that down, right? So done right, it could really be a door opener. Think of it that way. Okay, let's go on because we're going to run out of time. Is that okay with you, Laura? Thank you for asking two great questions. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I'm going to introduce you to another friend of mine. His name is Mike. I met Mike at a seminar. He introduced himself this way. My name is Mike. I'm a financial advisor and I help people over their financial finish lines. Okay, that's cool, right? It gives you the sports picture. If you're swimming, you're going to touch the wall. If you're running, you're going to break the tape. I help people over their financial finish lines. He and I had coffee and I said to him, you know, Mike, tell me about some clients who really love your work, who would refer you to another client if they could. And he tells me the first story. He told me 6 stories and I took good notes. First story was this. He had met a woman just after, in January one year. She was a retired school teacher. And he said when he met her, she was sad. She was living really close to the bone. And when he got to know her a little bit, she said, you know, I'm concerned that I'm just not going to have a successful retirement. I'm concerned about the fact that I have a very little pension and a very little Social Security. And she said, I didn't even go and visit my grandchildren this past Christmas because I didn't think I could afford the airfare and I didn't buy them presents. I just put a $10 bill in a card and that's all I could feel I could afford. He said he worked with her over the course of a year and it wasn't nearly as dire as she was making it out. This woman had spent her entire life helping other people's children be successful in school and never focused on her own needs and certainly not financial management. So Mike helped her out, gave her some tools, made some investments with her, trained her up, and she came into his office the following January and said, Mike, first thing I need to tell you, I went and saw my grandchildren. I'll tell you what, I get verklempt just telling that story. She really was in a better circumstance because of Mike. Another quick story. Mike met a man, and in this man's own world, he was carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. He was a man who had twin sophomore and high school daughters. And he had felt that he had not saved enough money for their college education, that they would go to college, but they would be saddled with the debt of student loans for decades to come. And he felt really bad about that. Mike worked with him, and not only worked with him, but gathered his family together, and they came up with a solution. If his girls would go to 1 year of community college after they graduated from high school, that dad would have enough money to send both of them to a state university, a good state university, and they would leave their education, their bachelor's degree, without debt. And that family agreed. What I learned from these 6 stories about Mike is this. I said, Mike, I don't hear the financial finish line, but I hear you tell me that you help your clients become more comfortable and confident in their financial futures. You see, this macho thing about getting people over their financial finish lines, that was just a marketing tagline. It wasn't who he was, because the archetype here is the essence of this person. Mike is a very caring, empathetic man. If he chose to do something other than financial planning, he could probably be a wonderful nurse. He could probably go into the ministry. He had that kind of loving, caring, listening empathy. He helped people become more confident and comfortable in their financial futures. That is a perfect Art of Hello introduction for Mike. Remember we said that an introduction has to be authentic, truthful? Well, Mike was using something that sounded good, but wasn't truthful. Not one of the people got over their financial finish lines. Nobody retired at 50 that he told me about. No one bought a condo, on the ocean in Maui. None of them bought a classic car from Jay Leno's collection, right? These are just ordinary people feeling better, comfortable and confident in their financial futures. Good job here, Mike. That's what it sounds like. I'll introduce you to another friend of mine. If you live in North Texas, hopefully you'll know Bill Wallace. Bill Wallace has been saying this about himself for maybe 40 years. I introduce the right people for the right reasons at the right time. Bill Wallace runs something called Success North Dallas. They meet once a month on a Wednesday morning, and excellent speakers from all over Texas, from all over the world come to that lectern. And they have built a community around Success North Dallas. Bill Wallace has introduced hundreds, maybe thousands of people for the right reasons at the right time. Let me tell you how powerful this is. So I was doing this presentation in the company Epsilon, and after the presentation, about 2 weeks later, I got a call from a woman named Catherine, and Catherine said, Paula, guess who I met? I don't know, who'd you meet? She goes, I met Bill Wallace. I said, oh, wonderful. What a great man. I'm so glad you know him. She goes, let me tell you how it happened. I said, yeah. She says, I was at a business meeting with my back to a man, and I heard that man say, I introduced the right people for the right reasons at the right time. She said, I spun around, I put my finger on his necktie and said, you must be Bill Wallace. And he said, yes. She said, Paula Calise told me you'd say that about yourself. Listen, your brand introduction is so powerful that someone doesn't even have to be looking at you to know who you are by what you say about yourself. Now that's an art of hello introduction. In this case, the archetype is repeated successes. Bill Wallace does this a dozen times a day, 100 times a year, thousands of times over the course of his life. Repeated successes. I'll introduce you to one more person. Her name is Christina. Christina is a young woman. We were doing this presentation, and at the end of this presentation, we took a second hour together and in a workshop format sat down 2 and 2 and 2 and helped each other hear each other out and create art of hello introductions. And I saw Christina struggling. And I went up to Christina, I said, Christina, there's something about this you're not buying. And she goes, yeah. This isn't right for me. And I said, okay, tell me why it's not right for you. She says, because it's not what I do during the day that I care about. Okay, what does that mean? So I sat down, and in about a 7 or 8 or 10 minute conversation, this is what I learned about Christina. By day, I sell cloud technology, and by heart, I advocate for organ donation. You can see what I learned about Christina at age 30. She had, in a very altruistic fashion, given away one of her kidneys to a perfect stranger so that person could live a normal life. How sweet is that? So this was the passion of her life, was organ donation. And she did sell cloud technology during the day, and that put food on the table for her family. This archetype I call aspirational. It's this and that. It's what I do during the day, but what I love to do. I speak every semester at SMU to the MBA program in what they call their business leadership conference. And for MBA students that are working, as a student, they've come from a career, they're going to return to a career, but this is the one that I mostly focus in and help them learn. Today, I'm an MBA student, I'm on my way to. I'm going to do this, I'm preparing for that. So this is the aspirational archetype. You have heard all 7 archetypes. What are the skippable mistakes of having a really great introduction? And here's the deal so that you can be remembered. First of all, throw out the list method. We heard that for Karen. I do this, 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 I do this. No one can remember that. The second is the chronological. I hadn't given you an example, but I've met people, they say, I started my career in 2001, and I worked for the so-and-so company, and I moved in 2005 to such and such company, and then in 2007, I got promoted and da-da-da, and then in 2011, what? That's what your resume is for, that's what your LinkedIn profile is for, no one's gonna remember it. All that says is that you've got a work history. I don't remember who you are, and I don't remember what your profession is. MBA speak. Now, this is one that most of us get kind of pulled into. And this is where you use many lovely terms of business and terms of art. You string them together in sentences that nobody understands. Let me give you an example. I got this one off LinkedIn. I'm a strategic integrator who is liaison between global operations and partner development. What? How about this? I'm the development integrator who strategically partners with liaisons in global operations. What? I'm liaison to global operations, building strategic relationships for integrated operations. What? Actually, one of those actually came off LinkedIn, and I just scrambled the words because it's just alphabet soup anyway. So stay away from a string of important terms that it's got to be understandable. Not your job title. I will tell you, many people in industries either have had or know people who have the title project manager. Project manager is a generic term that's used in every industry, in every profession. When I went to LinkedIn to look up in the US how many people had project managers as the title next to their picture in LinkedIn, you know how many there were? 9,800,000. It is just like saying, well, I breathe. Okay, everyone else does too. So it's not your job title. It's not your degree name. We met young Jennifer. She was using the degree of water engineer way past its prime. She was really an economic development professional. And then the use of your introduction inconsistently. Anybody who studies anything about brand tells you repetition, repetition, repetition. When you land on your Art of Hello introduction, you use it all the time. When I say I feel hard to fill jobs, I've been saying that for 13 years in every venue, everywhere. And this is what it has done for me. I probably haven't made a real sales call in 10 years because business gets referred to me by friends and colleagues like yourself who remember what I do, and when they find somebody struggling to fill a job, I get referred. So that's how powerful this can be. If it means your career, you're not in sales, you're not building a business, that's okay. How about if your internal brand was so strong that people could speak up in your behalf to bring you to new projects that could put you forward for advancement because they could really articulate who you are. That's the power of Art of Hello. I have lots more friends to talk about, but we just don't have the time. You see third or fourth from the bottom, I make companies Harvard smart. That was the woman that I introduced you to earlier. We're going to take a poll, and I think Laura is going to help us with that.
So Paula, because you're in host mode at the very bottom, if you could click on that little green button that says poll, it should pop up for us, or I'd be happy to.
A little green button that says poll. I do. Let's see if I can get it. Oh, I did it. Cool. All right. So those of you who are in the audience, all 100 and something of you, if you take just 30 seconds. Oh, maybe I have to launch it. There you go. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that I wasn't launching it. If any of you want to answer, I'd love to hear you.
We do have another question that came in if you'd like. I'm
yes, please.
Happy to share.
Yes.
Good question from one of our attendees. How do you prevent your Art of Hello from pigeonholing yourself into what you do now? For example, if Jennifer aspires to be a marketer instead of a water engineer following her EMBA.
Sure. The issue around pigeonholing, yes, you have to make the hard decisions about how to edit out your brand. You cannot be all things to all people. You cannot be everything you've ever done in your career, but the pillars help you by broadening who you are. They're your credentials and so on and so forth. Your Art of Hello introduction is how you want to be known now. When I mention Shauna Black, she helps manufacturing plants become LEED certified. She no longer says that about herself because it no longer is appropriate. She has a different Art of Hello introduction that she uses today. So it's not lifelong and permanent. It's not everything you've ever done, but it is how you want to be known now. I hope that helps answer the question. So oh, 50 or 60 of you have taken the poll. Let's end it and look at the answers. Of the people that you've met, how many people do you think have memorable introductions? I agree with you. Very few people introduce themselves in such a way that you will never forget them. But you want to be among them, and it's very doable. It's just that no one has ever taught us how to do this before. Today, you're going to go home armed with Bear. Will you work on your art of hello and use it? Yay, thank you, thank you. I'm thrilled that you feel that way. And how long do you think these should be? And I agree with you. I think 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 words is probably as long as anybody's going to be able to remember your brand verbatim. They might be able to get close, but if it's not short, they're not going to be able to nail it exactly the way you want to be known. So thank you so, so much. And I appreciate that. Oops, that wasn't how I did that. I think what I did is I stopped sharing my screen, which is a mistake. There we go. Let's go back. Okay. So we're going to go on to the how-to part, and we'll spend 10 minutes on the how-to part. I think that you have a handout that is available to you. Laura, have you guys put that handout in chat where people can pull that down?
We have it already. It's posted. I'm going to ask Courtney to go ahead and put it in chat now to everyone. If you see the link there, there's a really terrific PDF that Paula put together for everyone. I encourage you to go pull that down. It's definitely worthwhile.
There you go. So for the rest of this, if you're taking notes, don't need to take notes. Everything is going to be in that handout for you. There are a few steps to doing this for yourself. So this is the how-to point. If you liked what you heard, this is the way you get it done. First of all, you force yourself to see the forest for the trees. This is a little bit back to the question that was asked. This is the distillation or the essence of your professional brand. It is not everything you do. It is just, it can't be. If you're going to be remembered, you're going to be remembered for something. And you need to come up with what that something is. Here's a way that I suggest you might get there. First of all, I really, really, really like working with partners. And you could do it with a Zoom meeting. You could do it on the phone together. I do it on the phone with people all the time. Help each other by telling each other your success stories or your accomplishments. And seeing if you give 4, 5, 6 stories, if there's a pattern of who you are and what you deliver in those stories. Or look at a 360-degree view of yourself. If you've done something big and important, what did your boss say about you, or what would your boss say about you? How about your peer managers? What would they say? How about the people on your team that report to you? What have they said or would they say? What about a business partner, an external business partner, a vendor, for example, and your internal or external client? And I'm going to sneeze, excuse me. That will give you a view of what you do when you impact the world. And that's what you want your Art of Hello brand to be. What happens when you impact the world? Or another bullet here is, what do your fans say about yourself? And you know what? If you've worked 2 years or 5 years or 40 years like I have, there are a few people in my background and yours who are your fans, who've really liked working with you. And you might call them and say, tell me about myself. Tell me a story about me. And see if you can collect some data on that. Or describe yourself on the biggest, baddest accomplishment you've ever done. First person we met, Karen, she revitalized that tired Mary Kay brand. I'm Karen, I'm a vice president marketing. I revitalize tired brands. Boom, that gets you there. So this is the heart of creating your Art of Hello introduction. Tell stories, get to know yourself, see what your fans think about you, and distill it down. What do you deliver? How do you want to be known? Probably, in fact, I've never seen it not work out. It will end up being one of these archetypes, the biggest, baddest thing you've ever done, your newest accomplishment, your work in a bigger context, the results of what you do over and over again, the essence of the person you are, your repeated successes. Or maybe it's aspirational, like Christina, by day and by heart. So don't start on this page. Don't force yourself into an archetype. Do the work from the previous slide, and then just as for fun, check out the archetype. Then do your pillars. Your pillars are your credentials, your notable successes. They can be targeted to different audiences, or it can be targeted for different points in the conversation as you get to know somebody. So instead of the crazy 30-second drill with 88 words that I can't remember, if you have a 7 or 10 word art of hello introduction that's going to stick with somebody, now you can build additional points of data and information that fill out who you are, because you are more than a one-liner. I get that. Then you need to test it. 3 tests, your gut check. Does your art of hello sound like you? Does it really feel right on you? You don't want to say things that, you know, are just outlandish and you just don't feel good about. You need to be able to say it all the time to people. And then CASBA, I just made this up. Is it clear? Is it actual, specific, brief, authentic, honest? Basically, this nets out, is it short and truthful? And then the last is phone a friend. Once you've got some script down, call a couple friends and say, does this sound like me? Does this represent me? And once you've given it to your friend, ask them if they can repeat it. And the best thing that can happen is they'll repeat it verbatim for you. Okay, that's the way it's done. And I really hope you've enjoyed this. I really hope that this has made an impact with you. You can remember me, I'm a recruiter. I fill hard to fill positions. I speak on this topic for I take no personal fee. I take a small honorarium in the memory of my deceased son. And I'm a connector, so if you'd like, I would be honored for you to invite me to your LinkedIn network. And if you do that, use LinkedIn and tell me about the art of hello introduction that you craft for yourself. It would please me to no end to hear from you. So any other questions, Laura? If not, I'm done.
I don't see any other questions, but many, many great comments. So many people are enjoying your presentation tonight, and they're anxious to work on their art of hello. So thank you so much for sharing such great information.
And I'll let Laura know in a month or 2 or 3. I've put this into a book. The manuscript is with the editor right now. And when that book becomes available, maybe I'll ask Laura to send you the link and you can learn more about it. So what a fine audience. I wish I was with all of you today. I'm wearing my beautiful glasses that, you know, you guys probably did for me. And thank you for your time. Good night.
Awesome. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you so much, Paula. Thank you, everyone. What a great presentation. And it made me want to go all the way back to the beginning of this so I can introduce myself again, but I won't do that. Thank you so much for your participation this evening, for your questions, for your comments, and for just being with us and spending your evening with us tonight. One quick announcement before we wrap up. If you've been to our events at Vision Expo West in the past, you've come and you've seen the amazing array of gifts and auction items that we have available. And these are gifts from all of our sponsors, and we so appreciate them. So thank you very much for the donations. Because we can't be together at Vision Expo West this year, like this program, our auction is all online. You can go today and see the auction items. The link to the items will be in the chat feature. They'll also be available, the link will also be available on our website. Check them out. They're amazing travel packages, jewelry, electronics, handbags, gift cards, and of course, eyewear. Please check that out. The auction, you can preview the items now, but the auction will run from Sunday, September 20th, this coming Sunday, through next Friday, September 25th. Good luck. That concludes our program. On behalf of the OWA, we sincerely appreciate having you this evening. It's been a lovely time. Congratulations once again to Jean, Millicent, and to Sheena. Be well, be safe. Good night.